number below, and we'll be reading your feedback as the show goes on. Again, the question is, are you open for a dialogue as called for by the one half of the broad-based government? Of course, tonight, I'm joined by the lovely, lovely Linda. Hi, Linda.
Good evening to you, Miss Ken. You're looking lovely,
Thank you so much.
Well, as we dive into this conversation about dialogue, I'm just wondering, what would a meaningful dialogue look like? And just having this convergence of the Gen Z as well as the government coming together to speak about the issues affecting the country. I wonder how this can be achieved. And today I have a whole lot of panelists who are ready to dive through and take us through this conversation today.
Thank you, Linda. And also the other question is it necessary to have this dialogue in the first place?
Yes, as well as
hawajui so far.
Exactly,
You
as
know?
well as their non-negotiables. You know, when it comes to dialogue, yes, you can talk about all the issues, but there are some things the government can say, yes, I will not, I will relent, I will do this and this, but there are some things that are non-negotiable that the Gen Zs or the youth will say, no, this one you must. This one, nope.
And how sure are we that those non-negotiables zitakuwa implemented?
Absolutely.
You know? Well, let's hear from people kwa ground. Of course, we have Majibu, who is very, very ready for Tuesday. Majibu, hi.
Miss K, hi. Linda, hi. Another beautiful Tuesday ya the Gen Z Manifesto mazena, vile umesema hapa kama kawaida, form ni kuongea ikutoke. Yes, majenzi walisha stress bana last year. Hii mwaka pia wametokea saba nini. Imefika place gava imesema hapana, hakuna haja, kujeni tukae chini tuongee. Lakini shida ni wataongea na nani? Side moja ishakubali, side hiyo ingine bado haija come out clear kama bado wako open for hiyo dialogue. Na ndio maana hii convo haiziisha kama sijapata hiyo side nyingine, na niko nao hapa hivi leo nitakuwa naongea na wao. Na tuanze. Niko na wakili hapa, Joel Oloch mwenyewe. Inakuaje?
Niko poa sana.
Gava imitisha dialogue, church imitisha dialogue, religious leaders wote imitisha dialogue. Kila msee sahi from that other side anasema kujeni tukae chini tuongee. Gen Z as we speak sahi, are they open for that dialogue?
Majibu kwanza, we have to be rational and reasonable enough. Unaona? Because this is not a new playbook. We have been here. We were here in 2022. We were here in some other times. And what happened? You know, the way watu walina na BBI, hadi kafika daka ya mwisho, then inaangushwa ni kama it was pre-planned. So are we having these dialogues so that it looks like something that is tactically to disenfranchise the system?
So unasema hiki kitu ni script ile wale kachora kitambo.
If we are to have dialogue, we have to be genuine about certain things. You get? Our country needs to move forward in certain prospects because we've had a lot of breakdowns. Business zimeharibika. We are totally and completely in disagreement with the government. There's nothing. Gen Z tutasema gava ituambii shit. So we don't accept this government in as much as it came from us. So what we need to do, if they mean that there are these conversations or dialogue they want us to have, they must be genuine about them first. And it should come from the people. The people need to set the pace, they need to put the rules, and they need to design the outcome because the claim came from them. So we don't have to lie to ourselves that these people mean good about what they are doing. You'd find out that maybe this, because the way you are seeing the government making several mistakes, you know, this government is making, it is 2 days we are wondering why they have not made another mistake. They are making mistakes tactically so that they come out later and say that, we are sorry people, forgive us, so let us dialogue, then let us have a referendum, and then they come and confine themselves and change the constitution into their own tune, because this government has no respect for constitutionalism or the rule of law. They can do anything as they wish, the way they have done previously. So as of now, I'm not for dialogue. Yeah, because it is a script that has been there for a long time, but we need to find solutions to the problems we have in a proper manner from the citizens so that the citizens can engage them in an open way as equals, because they have lost legitimacy. Even our MPs have lost legitimacy. The assembly was impeached. The National Assembly was impeached last year, so they have lost legitimacy completely. And the only conversation we want to have with them is that inatoka kwetu kama wananchi. Yes, and then we engage them as peers, because that's what they are to us now.
Makosa imefanyika, useme hajafanyika, hata wamekosa tena. Julie Njoki from Laikipia dead in police custody. Leo pale Kiambu pia wamezika mtu mwingine, the daughter.
Kesho.
Si mimi nimesema ni yeye. Wacha najua pia nataka kuongea, nakuja kwako Magi kidogo tu. Bazu pia wewe, majenzi sahi, are they open for dialogue?
Asante sana kwa hii nafasi. Ian Obongo. We are not ready for a dialogue because these guys are perennial liars. They just lie to us. They are used to PR. They know our problems. They know we need accountability from them. They know we need our youth to get empowered. They know our plight. They know what we are fighting for, and they don't want to address the real issues. For a long time in this country, we've had dialogues. We've had a lot of round table meetings, but they've never borne fruit. So I don't see the importance of it, and the only thing that we need right now is to them to deliver on their mandate and the things they promised us while seeking for power. And all this, that they are, the dialogue that they want is just a PR and a waste of time. So I'm not ready. What are we dialoguing for?
Ashasema yake ikamtoka. Na kuja hii side pia nipate yako kiasi, waacha nikae hapo katikati pia nifikie fiti. Do you think hizo demands zenu, demand for accountability from government, end to corruption, extrajudicial killings, zote zinaweza solviwa na dialogue?
Thank you. My name is Cynthia. Where our country is right now, I don't think the government the dialogue can solve our problem. Everything is crystal clear out there that the government is here to compensate the families that lost their loved ones since last year, and those ones who've been killed recently. Some are in the hospitals. The government is here to say anything about police brutality. They are not holding those ones committing these crimes accountable. So the dialogue cannot solve anything. And they're not the ones who are supposed to call for this thing. It's us, the youths of this country, who are supposed to come and tell them, this is what we want to hear from you. When they say that they want us to come out and talk and have a dialogue with them, under which capacity? When they are yet to talk about the police brutality, when they are yet to compensate the families that lost their loved ones. So under which capacity are they calling for this dialogue? I feel like it's high time they finish what they started. We employed them to work. They have failed. If they feel like they cannot resign, they should just complete what they started. We will meet them coming 2027. And that's where we will dialogue with them, and that's will be in the ballot. That's where we can dialogue with them. For now, let them either adhere to what the constitution entails, or work or fail to work. But coming 2027, tutakuwa pamoja nao.
Aya, amesema kuna dialogue. Pia wewe mnaitishwa dialogue na au viongozi wote, hadi religious leaders wamekuja. I believe unaendanga church. Hadi pastor akisema kuja tuongee, utakataa bado?
Thank you Majibu. My name is Uchieng Alam. Actually sitaki kuenda kwa hiyo side ya whether I'm going to church ama siendi church, kwa sababu those people who wail at their loudest voice ya kwamba wao ni church members, wanaendanga church, has proved that even church cannot save you from committing sins, and that one is very evident on the conduct of the President William Ruto. So I want to go straight to whether we need a dialogue or we don't need a dialogue. I think this country right now, where it is, there is no need to talk. People have spoken. The issues that the young people are agitating for are clear and open out there for every sane person to see into them and implement them. The young people are just asking William Ruto to actualize his manifesto. Now they have sent Raila Odinga as John the Baptist to prepare the way for William Ruto to speak to the young people. When himself, Raila Odinga, his own document has not been obeyed by that same government. In the document of Raila Odinga, that which they signed at KICC, if you can remember, there were 10-point agenda. among those agenda, there were issues like enforced disappearances. We are still having enforced disappearances, even right now as we speak. So the Raila cannot now start masquerading as if now this time is when we are going to have genuine conversation on the table, when the conversation that which have been had previously has not been obeyed. You get? So we are saying as young people that we don't need a dialogue with anybody. Issues zenye tuna raise are very clear and should be implemented. Number 2, all tyrants all over the world have fell. These issues you are seeing about dialogue is a tyrant falling. Tyrants who have over the years thought that they are the voice of the people, and without them the people cannot move forward. But now it is very clear that they are falling. The tyranny of Raila Odinga, the tyranny of William Ruto, the tyranny of government, the tyranny of intimidation, all those tyrants are falling, because all over the world, if you see dictators all over the world, there is not a single dictator who has ever won a fight against the people. So the people of Kenya are going to end this brutal government come 2027.
Haya, pia amesema 2027 wata dialogue kwa hiyo ballot. Wacha nikuje side nyingine pia niongee na nyinyi pia. Do you think Rao amecall for hiyo conversation dialogue across all generations? Do you think he's being sincere? Kama kuna mention kulikuwa na hiyo NADCO report, kulikuwa na 10-point agenda, kuna vitu bado hazijakuwa implemented, bado kunakuwa na hii dialogue nyingine wanajaribu kupush, au viongozi they being sincere ama ni story ya jaba?
Asante sana Majibu kwa kutuita hapa. Hata kama ni wewe unaweza enda utoke hapo bila miguu, hatuwezi enda. And you know kwa nini tutatoka hapo bila miguu? Kwa sababu tutaenda kuwauliza, you are the leaders wenye tunasemanga ni avaricious people. Instead of kuhurumia mwananchi ama binadamu, nyinyi mnafikiria tu mambo ya pesa. Tutaenda hapo tutauliza mambo ya payslip. Payslip sai 2023 wali increase mambo ya NSSF ikakuwa 6%. Yeah? Na ilikuwa NHIF, it was a very minimal amount for everyone that ange afford. Wakaongeza affordable housing. Sai ukiperuse books usome mambo ya affordable housing, kila mtu hapa atashtuka. Unajua kwa nini? Wanaenda wanasema tutajenga affordable housing in the slums. What was the motive ya kujenga affordable housing kwa slums? Ndio to reduce slums. Hizo slums tutajenga manyumba, na hizo manyumba zitakuwa worth 1.5 million to 3 million. Tukawaambia tupeni the contractors of those affordable housing. Hawatupei. Imagine 1.5% ukikatwa out of the people that we have in this country. How many people do we have? A lot of people. Ukiuliza mambo kama hayo hawataweza kwa hiyo dialogue. Yeah, that's why nasema tutatoka hapo bila miguu. Alafu wakasema eti mambo ya chief. Yeah? Nancy Kadhungu amekuja akatuambia hata yeye hawezi kuwa accountable, hawezi ona zile pesa 104 billion kwenye zilienda. Tunamwambia NHIF it only needed 33 billion, lakini hawataki kusikia mambo.
So we in short unasema kwanza wa implement kitu walikuwa wameanza kwanza ndio dialogue baadaye.
Hata waachane tu na dialogue. Waachane tu na dialogue because wametuonyesha mambo yao ni mambo ya hela. Umesikia mtu mwingine, kwa sababu hii leadership imekuwa mpaka STL, sexually transmitted leadership. Mtu anaenda anasema eti pale wacheni tu niongee, nikishamaliza kuongea najua kwenye ndege yangu nimeiweka. Kwa hivyo tu nitasimama, hata sitaki mtu anizindiki. What kind of a country is this? Wacha tu wamalize hivyo venye tumepanga, waende tu kama package, watoke tu, kwa sababu wametuonyesha hata tukienda hiyo dialogue hawezi itikia kufanya mambo ya hawawezi implement mambo ya payslip, hawawezi toa mambo ya affordable housing. Remember hata affordable housing koti ilikuwa imesimamisha. Wakasema wana follow Finance Act 2023 na Affordable Housing Finance Act, Affordable Housing Act 2024. Niambia watu kama hao wanaweza kweli hata hiyo dialogue tukienda hapo hawawezi fanya anything about.
Aya pia amesema hakuna haja ya dialogue. Wacha nikuje kwako pia kiongozi, pia ni wakili. Is there any need sahi ya majenzi kukuwa open for dialogue na gava?
Mimi naweza sema hivi, my name is Otieno Mokaya. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Sometimes we get it wrong, not because we have the wrong answer. We could be having the right answer to the wrong question. So the question here is not whether we should speak Our constitution is touted to be the most transformative constitution. We have both antagonists in the last election, 2022, Raila Odinga and William Ruto working together. I think if they merge both of their manifestos, they'll come up with a very spectacular way forward for this country. The reason I'm saying that we don't need a dialogue has been the shop where Raila has been eating from since. He causes chaos, asks for dialogue, and somehow Raila Odinga confuses the people with him. He is the proverbial, I'm all of you. So when all of you are being invited, Raila walks into the room. So we can't be having one person speaking and eating on behalf of all of us. Again, this dialogue that he wants to sponsor, which meaningful dialogue do you have with an amorphous, leaderless, structureless group? Who is he going to speak to? Who's he going to dialogue with? Is it the common public participation, bench filling shenanigans where politicians finance people into a room, give them a script, tell them what to speak, and come with pre-filled questionnaires for them to sign and call it dialogue? There was a story that a PR firm was engaged to help an institution perfect how it looked like. The CEO of that PR firm told the institution, you don't need PR to perform. Just read what your function is and just do your job. Thank you.
Amesema yake ikamtoka. Raise a very important point hapo ya leaders the fact that Gen Z have all along been leaderless, formless, kila kitu. Niliambiwa niseme formless, mko na form. Wakisema wanaitisha dialogue, wataitaki na nani, if at all it is going to happen. Na pia, do you fear that wanaweza chukua majenzi wenye labda wanaweza wachukua kama ni viongozi alafu ama kunaweza jitokeza labda kwenda kukula do in the end?
Tunabuy two time. Kuna wengine wanajiita leaders na washanunuliwa. Kwa hivyo tunabuy two time. Wenye wanunuliwa haraka ndo tuanze another chapter. Kuna wengine tu wana believe in the power of money. 10,000, 20,000 wewe ushanunuliwa. Kwa hivyo wacha wayasonga songe and then you're going to form the leadership structure yenye watu wameitisha.
Joel, kuna majenzi, kuna story tulifanya pia, I think ni jana, ya majenzi wengine, I think ilikuwa somewhere in Meru, wanasema wako open for dialogue. Au ni majenzi wagani wenye kama nyinyi mna sing a very different tune na pia wanasema what they are open for that dialogue?
Because when you're in this country right now, we know very well what is ailing this country. We know corruption is ailing this country, bad governance utterly openly is ailing this country. These are the things that needs to be corrected. And some of these things we don't need to dialogue so that we can know what is happening, what is going wrong. Okay? So if you tell us that you're going for a dialogue and you're ready for it, and it doesn't come from the majority of the youths, because again, the people who are outside there advocating for, maybe they're just positioning themselves for the likes of the others who position themselves to be known so that they get to political parties. But I don't think if you're a patriot right now and you love this country, the best thing that you can advocate for is have a firm stand. In any case that we are going to have a conversation, let it come from the people. Let it emanate from the Gen Zs who started this process and exposed this government. So let it come from them first, and then they invite the government and they are calling it intergenerational conclave or something. Those are just... let us be genuine about the progress and future of our country.
Sawa. Acha nikuje side nyingine pia. Yes, mnasema mnangoja 2027 hapo ndo kutakuwa na the real dialogue. Lakini before your 2027 mko na plan gani sahi? Mtaendelea kuvumilia hizo vitu zenye mnasema zinaendelea kuakera bado ama itakuaje?
For now hakuna kitu kama kungoja mpaka 2027. Sasa tutakuja tu kwa streets, tutakuja kwa mitandao na tuongee issues zetu. Wakipenda kusikiza wasikize. Wasiposikiza tutangoja hiyo 2027. But one thing is for sure. Those young people who are still accepting the dialogue, you people have to understand that there are so many dialogues that have happened before, but today they've never been solved. Like the TDRC report has never been addressed. The Wagala massacre has never been addressed, where people were murdered and maimed. The Ndunguland report has never been addressed. So all these are dialogues, and they are still hanging today, many years later. I think dialogues are a waste of time because this is what they do. They keep us busy with dialogues instead of working for us and making our lives better. And as a young people, that's not the way to go for us. Our way is to call them out and to tell them our frustrations and to show them with whichever way possible to the last minute until the time that we'll get a proper government that actually works to serve the people, not against the people.
Aya, amesema real dialogue in 2027, but for now mtaendelea kuandamana mpaka mhakikishe kila mtu ako in the same lane na nyinyi. Na mbona nafaa kurudisha, but briefly tu utaambiaje wenye bado wana insist that wanataka hiyo dialogue, the other Gen Zs?
My advice to the young people who are calling for dialogue, first thing, something that you need to understand is that no young person of sane mind would sit down and dialogue with this government. Tunajua wale vijana wenye uko nje wamekuwa wakitumika vibaya. Some young people are out here and they are very desperate, and it's very wrong for a government to take advantage of those young people, trying to force money into them, some 10,000, some 20,000, wanawambia go out there and tell other young people that you are okay with the dialogue. No sane youth in this country will stand in front of a camera and say that we need a dialogue kama hajatumwa na government ama kama hajapewa pesa kidogo akuja ambie vijana hivyo. And my advice to young people, the government has misused us for the longest time. Raila Odinga is the only person and his colleagues who've been benefiting from this dialogue thing. Na yeye ndo anajua Kenya amekuwa benefit from this dialogue thing. Today Raila Odinga is running his mouth telling young people that anataka akuje aongee na sisi. What is it that he's coming to tell us? What is it exactly? Since 2007 kumekuwa na dialogue. Who are benefiting from this dialogue? Nani wana benefit? Young people are jobless. Unemployment has been there ever since. Mbona asikuje huku nje na ambie William Ruto, this is what you said when you that when you become the president, this is what you are going to achieve. Mbona asikuje ambie William Ruto, why are you yet to achieve this? This is what you promised young people. What is it that they want to dialogue with us? Mbona asikuje aseme wale watu wameuliwa wote, this is what we want to do for them. Today a 12-year-old girl amezikwa leo. Has he talked about it? But he's thinking of dialogue. That is selfishness, na hiyo kitu inafaa iishe. And no young person should be controlled by anyone in the government.
Aya, na mnafaa kurudisha pia wewe Bazu, your last sentiments.
My last sentiment ni kwamba we know that William Ruto was asking us that ataenda Ruto must go, yes, but atoke aje. So we are telling him that even before we get to 2027 very fast, we have several ways that William Ruto can leave office. One of them, he can resign. Just an honorable thing that a person of his caliber, a man of God, so he claims, should just take a pen and resign and hand it over to the assembly. Number two, we know he's not dying soon, and so because any evil man to an extent of William Ruto cannot die soon, they outlive their time. So we are ready for him come 2027.
Aya, na mbona nafaa kurudisha, time imeisha, lakini umesikia, imagine hao wote mazao wamesema hawataki dialogue. Mtazungumza na nani? And the other Gen Zs, mmesikia Kenya mmeambiwa if you are ready for the dialogue mjueni nyinyi. Hao wanasema the real dialogue ni 2027. Kutoka ground naitoa majibu, washatoa majibu yao na wapeleka break, but baadaye Miss K na Linda watakuwa wanaendelea na convo in studio live on K24 and Kameme.
Kameme TV. We've got you with an upgrade on us, plus the best entertainment.
People always ask me, do you ever get scared?
This thing is spicy.
We're going big.
Look what you've been missing.
He has done it!
I like it, but can he sing?
More shows, more value, and more reasons to stay connected to DSTV with an instant upgrade and more channels on us. DSTV, we've got you.
Kila tunapopitia majaribio maishani, sio kutuonyesha udhaifu wetu, bali ni kutusaidia kugundua uwezo wetu. Basi tuzilaki changamoto za maisha kwani zinatunua na kututayarisha kwa siku za usoni.
Kupata uwezo wetu kama sikiza tune yako, dial *811 *615#.
Hwaine waku ukiria kwagirira ona makiria. Werorere tafarira ya homuka. O muthenya wa mwambĩrĩrio nginya wa gatano. Thaa 11 nginya thaa 1 cia hwaine. Tukiaraniria na ataramu, Ndeto Sharaloko na Dereti Mwaki ciĩgiĩ kũgacĩrithia mũtũrĩre waku.
When you lose hope, uteaga kĩrigĩrĩro. No njohi na nyama na imwe nĩ tũramwĩra rĩngĩ nyama ndune nyingĩ ti njega.
Nĩ ũrona mwanake wa kanitha ũrenda kũhikia mũirĩtu. Have you ever seen that? Erutanagĩria mũno kũ make sure mũirĩtu ũcio every time hell wĩha.
Nĩwagũagũire na nĩguo warĩro wanyonagia wendo mũingĩ ngaigua ta ingĩgũrũka. Wanyonagia wendo sweet ngaigua ta ingĩgũrũka.
Homuka hatarĩ ũndũ tangaja nĩ gũcanjamũra hwainĩ waku mũthenya ũkĩinĩkĩrĩra. Homuka na Nonsizi wa Ng'ethe o mwambĩrĩrio nginya wa gatano thaa 11 nginya thaa 1 cia hwainĩ.
Ũrĩmi nĩguo mũnyiginyigi wa gũkũra gwa bũrũri wa Kenya, ũkĩnyita itemi rĩnene harĩ ũtonga waguo. Na korwo ũrĩmi wakinyanĩrio na kĩo hatarĩ kũrora riũa, haha nĩho ciringi ĩkomete.
Mũrori wa Kameme TV, ĩno nĩ tabarĩra ya Kayũ ka mũrĩmi harĩa tũgũthomithagia maingĩ megiĩ ũrĩmi na ũrĩithi na maũndũ matiganĩte. Ti mũgũnda waku na mahiũ maku nĩ magũkũhe gĩa kũrĩa na gĩa kũnyua na matigie kĩndũ mũhuko.
Kayũ ka mũrĩmi nĩ tabarĩra ĩrĩa ĩkũgunaga we mwĩroreri harĩ gũkũrehera njĩra itiganĩte cia ũrĩmi wa kĩmerera na ũrĩmi wa kĩrĩu, harĩ ũrĩa ũngĩthondeka ũtonga kuma tĩri-inĩ o gĩcunjĩ gĩothe kĩa mũgũnda kĩrĩa ũngĩkorwo nakĩo.
Na twakinya gũkũ kabuti ni check, kobokobo ni check. Hatirĩ ũtangaja kana gĩtũmi kĩngĩgiria gũtarĩrie maingĩ megiĩ ũrĩmi wa mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ. Twarana nani.
Nyitanagĩra na Bataru wa Mwagĩro mũthenya wa gatatũ thaa 1:30 nginyagia thaa 2 cia hwainĩ, akĩrika gũgũtarĩria maingĩ megiĩ ũrĩmi na umithio wa ciringi yaguo. Na haha to kũrĩma tu, nĩ kũrĩma gũkumia. Nĩ gũkũ gwa Kameme TV, mũthĩgi wa rũrĩrĩ.
Mũthenya mwega ũmenyekanaga riũa rĩkiuma ngo-inĩ, na ũngĩkorwo na mũtirithania mwega noguo mũthenya waku ũthakaraga na ũkagĩrĩra. Na nĩkĩo gũkũ gwa Kameme TV tũrĩtirithanagia nawe kwagĩrithia mũthenya waku.
Na niĩ mũmbi wa Chege.
Njĩtagwo Kĩmani wa Ngũnjiri.
Na niĩ Njoroge wa Kĩmani.
Atunyitanĩre ithuothe, niĩ Maina Kĩhumo.
O mũthenya wa Jumaine nginya wa gatano kwambĩrĩria thinacara cia kĩroko nginya thaa 4 cia rũcinĩ.
Welcome back. This is the Gen Z Manifesto. Hapa tunasemanga tunaongea itutoke. Before we went on a break, tulikuwa pale kwa ground na majibu. And the question that we are asking people today ni, are we open for dialogue? Mko open for dialogue? Watu wa majibu pale kwa ground wamesema wote, in fact wote wamesema they are not open for this dialogue. Wamesema Rao kidogo, it's a bit selfish for him to call for this dialogue. Now let's hear from you guys at home. Mko open for dialogue kweli? One of you says no, it's a waste of time and money. Okay, another person says we don't need a dialogue. This regime just needs to stop killing us. Police brutality doesn't need a dialogue. Politicians wameamua kufanya vile akili zao zinawaambia. Okay, let's hear from another person. The person says hello, dialogue for what? What is needed are ways of eradicating vices affecting our nation. Dialogue for what? Okay, let's hear from another person. Martin here says, hi, I'm from Nairobi. Baba aache kutupima bangi, akule pesa ya gava polepole aende home. Okay, Martin coming in strong with the bangi situation over there. I see you. Another person says, we are ready for the dialogue. Our representatives will be Albert Ojwang, Boniface Karaoke, and other dead comrades. Hao ndio wanajua kujieleza poa on our behalf. That's deep. That's deep right there. Another person called Code 14 anasema, I personally don't think I know that what it means. That dialogue seems will be a good after the okay. Yeah, only why we should have a dialogue, it seems. All right. Thank you, Code 14. Another person anauliza, dialogue for what? This is useless. All right. I wonder what Linda's side watasema leo. Paul says, and I'm watching from Meru, thank you so much for tuning in, about dialogue. It will always be to the advantage of Raila and his cronies. The message is out there from Gen Z. Let's seal the deal in August 2027. Now remember, IBC hata imesema hata tuja announce kama kutakuwa na elections in the first place, so mchill. So I don't know about 2027, guys. Now another person says, we are not ready for any form of dialogue. The so-called broad-based government is fooling Kenyans. Wanatuona, hey. Now how many tribes will be sitting down for a talk? They already know what we want. All right. Thank you so much. Steve Stars says, dialogue is necessary, but what we are worried about is that we take a dialogue, but nothing is implemented. They should involve the comrades and those in government. Action must be there after dialogue. All right, Steve, thank you so much. Now, Linda.
Yep.
Uko na mbogi yako hapo iko tayari.
Unajua, if Kagina, our stats guy, was here today, I'm sure angesema 90% or 95 thereabouts have said that they are not open for dialogue.
Right.
But now, we're hoping perhaps we'll get varied reactions from my end. Let me begin from the farthest right, if this is my right. From the farthest right, Sophie Njoy here, do you think Gen Zs are open for a dialogue? And what would a meaningful dialogue look like? What would make Gen Zs feel represented?
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Sophie. I'm an aspirant for Thika Township Ward, MCA. I will only answer the first part of your question because the rest at this point ni kind of irrelevant. Juu mi sitaki dialogue. Sitaki dialogue. Because comrades, tuna dialogue aje na gava yenye ina sexualize women na inaua watoto. Tuna dialogue aje na gava yenye imefungia watu kwa church before na ikawachomea huko ndani. Tuna dialogue aje na serial manipulators and killers. Kuna comrade ako hapo nje amesema kitu moja muhimu sana. Sisi kama wa Kenya tumenormalize kupatia mtu mmoja a lot of power, and they end up thinking that their opinions represent the opinions of the majority, and that is a lie. The so-called Baba has mastered the art of kuruka watu kipetero kiyesu. In 1997, the people had said no reforms, no elections. But he went ahead and struck a deal with Moi, minimal reforms, akauza NDP, ikaingia KANU, na hivyo ndio hiyo story ililand. In 2007, in fact, Raila Odinga is one who campaigned 41 tribes against one. I believe he and his camp contributed very highly to the post-election violence, he still negotiated. And he got a very big part of that government, nusu mkate. In 2022, he did the same. So kazi yake inakuanga tu kuruka watu. So he can't represent us. In short, what I'm asking myself is there political goodwill in what he's trying to initiate? Or is it just a plan to keep his stomach full, him and his family and his cohorts, in the name of wanting to join the Gen Zs and our troubles? They already know our troubles. Hatutaki hiyo dialogue yao, wakae nayo.
Thank you. Sophie is so mad. Let me come to you, Elijah. Is dialogue a viable option for this, what is happening in the recent past?
Thank you, Linda, and Ms. Kahiru. I think we are really simplifying this conversation too much. And how it appears to me is as if it's just the same way the Gen Z's protest out there look very unorganic. When you actually look at it keenly, looks like something that's being brewed somewhere, then it's just blown out. Because we cannot today come here to vilify Raila Odinga as Gen Z's. Raila is not our father. Raila has children. Raila is just one amongst 40 million Kenyans who, through his blood, sweat, and even some squeezing of his own balls, he went through a lot so that, one, we could get multi-party in 1982. Nobody would dare do that. In the year 2007, he started the journey of actually creating electoral reforms. That is the first time that we saw the need to have an independent IBC. He took a lot of part in making sure that we had the 2010 constitution. So as young people, I think we cannot all of a sudden become too clever than our parents. And you know, the thing of just saying, you know, our parents are all, they are expired and therefore we think we are more clever. No, this country has been built through a process and we can't simplify this conversation in such a manner. I've heard so much in the conversation and I realize the first thing that we need as Gen Zs is actually to get the truth, to understand what is happening. From who now? I can give you a very good example. There's someone who's mentioned that actually SHIF is, NHIF was 6% and now SHA is high. Let me give you a very good example. 24,000 shillings as a salary. Yes, as a salary of someone earning. That is more or less at the bottom. At that time, someone was paying 825 for NHIF. Someone earning 1 million was paying 1,700 shillings. NHIF could barely do so many things that today SHA is doing. SHA today is doing as much as a private cover would do.
Elijah,
now,
bottom line.
when we go back, so the bottom line is this, Linda. When you hear people mentioning numbers that actually they are not even accurate, you hear people saying we want to become contractors of affordable houses so that we stop fighting.
Elijah, open for dialogue or not open for dialogue?
I like the way you're not giving me time, yet we've had so many people are talking about negative for dialogue. But this is what I just wanted to say. We must have dialogue. And whether people want to have dialogue or not, somehow people must talk, because the moment we stop talking, we start fighting. So we have no option of trying to tell young people not to dialogue.
So
we don't have that option.
Thank you.
We have no option.
Thank you, Mulamba. Do you think dialogue is a viable option? Because I know from how you're smiling, you have been smiling when Elijah was giving it. Is dialogue a viable option?
I wish I knew Elijah personally. I would want to understand if he's a newbie in politics, because we understand the language of dialogue. This language has been there before, and it will be there even after 2027. It is a language of the political elite to try and hijack the mood of the country and to curate their own ambitions and their own end goals. That's exactly what it is. It has never been people-centered. It does not matter what we think, what we feel, and what we would want done. It is what the political elite want done. If you look at the BBI initiative, 70% of what was in the BBI, because that was a dialogue, was what the political elite wanted. 70 more constituencies. They wanted an office of the prime minister. They wanted an official office of the opposition leader. Look at the NADCO report. What did the political elite want?
So there are so many historical issues that will Gen Zs look at and say dialogue has failed before, and that's why we are opposing this dialogue.
A dialogue in Africa, a dialogue in Kenya is about the political elite. The NADCO report still gave priority to the audit of the election, gave priority to the reconstitution of the IBC, and still gave priority to the leader of the opposition.
Thank you.
That tells you that it was about them, not about us.
Okay.
And as I conclude, I would say it's infelicitous and ill-fated that we are seated here to discuss the whims of one Raila Odinga. After so many years in politics, by now we should have buried Raila Odinga. Politically, I mean.
Okay.
We should have gotten
Thanks
done
for
with
that
him.
correction.
We should have gotten done with him because he has outlived his purpose and his relevance. I agree he has a legacy. I agree he has contributed to making this country better and the constitution better. That we agree. But then when you decide to soil your own legacy, what then? What use do we have respecting that legacy? So I am saying that we need to get past these clowns. And we also need to get past Gachagua, by the way. Gachagua cannot tell us that he has talked with the Gen Zs and he has advised them and he's speaking on our behalf.
Has he talked to you?
Yes,
like
he
as
said
Gen Zs?
no, he's not talked to us as who? He's not our patron. Saying that he's advised the Gen Zs and he's speaking on their behalf that they should not protest anymore.
Thank you,
who?
Mulamba.
He's not our patron. So as we call out Raila Odinga, we should also be willing to call out Kalonzo, call out Gachagua when they step out of line because they do not speak for us.
Thank
If we are going to have a dialogue, it will be initiated by us, for us.
Thank you, Mulamba. We have varied reactions right here. Ms. K, like you've had, we have a yes and we have no dialogue. So, well, let's hear what your panelists have to say about this conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. Now, allow me to introduce my panelists tonight. I have Joshua Okayo, who is a lawyer and also an individual who has been very vocal about human rights and good governance. I also have Jared Oyer, who is a delegate of the ODM Youth League. Just for some balance, let me begin with you, Jared.
Thank you so much.
Your party, your party leader is the one who called for
the
this,
conclave.
The conclave.
This conclave. So I'll start with the wise words from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah when he said, East or West must move forward. As a country, as a nation, must find a way of moving forward. After every war, after every struggle, people must sit on a table and reconcile and find a way forward. And historically, let me start by during the independence in 1960s, when Kenyatta had to be sent to London severally for us to gain the independence we are today. He had to go sit down with the Wazungu for us to gain our independence. Let me come to the second liberation of our country. We young people must agree that we can't wish those who fought for this country. We are just continuing with what they were doing then. There's nothing new under the sun. Whatever we're doing today, they did it. So we don't need to appear like we are more saint than the struggles that someone like Raila Odinga that we have been tainting his name here negatively and necessarily. The gains that we have today, the constitution, the rights that we are having in this panel today, if it were not for Raila Odinga and his comrades, hatungekuwa hapa leo kuzungumzia hizi kwa serikali. Ya pili, on the struggle and the dialogue, we must agree that we have a clear agenda as young people, as a generation, what need to be done and how. They'll not be implemented, they'll not be done on the street. We must sit on the table. Pale nje nimesikia wengine wakisema they are leaderless. But here I'm seeing RGM with the leader here, Okayo. If they're saying they are leaderless, who's leading this RGM here? We must speak truth to ourselves first as well. As we must that we want to say that we are leaderless, but we have leaders here in within. They are leaders who have been moving out organically, and a number of them are in this room. So when outside there we want to pretend and cheat our fellows that we are leaderless, but yet we know here that we have leaders. Second.
Jared, just before you go to your second, kidogo tu, yes? So far, Okayo, do you agree with your fellow comrade? Is it necessary to have this dialogue to be on the table and not on the streets anymore?
Thank you, Ms. K, and good evening, Kenyans. Before I get there, I was seated there watching the news, and it's so painful, a country burying a 12-year-old.
Right.
Bridget, who was not even protesting. As we speak, we have young children at Kenyatta National Hospital who are not protesting.
Right.
They have gun wounds. It's really painful. So even as we speak, let us remember such. Now, coming to, I have heard my friend Oye passionately, supporting the strides that have been made by our fathers and forefathers, and the fact that we should not write that off. That is true. But it's also very appalling how most of the pro-regime young people think that we are from a war, and now the country must move on. The country is not from a war, the country is not in a war. It must be very clear that the country is not in a war, and we have not come from any war, that now we should move on. That's number one. Number two.
What would you call 2024 especially?
What I would call 2024 is a generation that found its voice and realized that then we can speak truth to power. And because they realized that, we realized that we have tried quite a lot of things. We had tried some of these things you're calling dialogue. I have seen Mulamba and Sophie have mentioned the historical, dialogues we've had, the BBI, NADCO, and even the 1997, right. 2007, 2008. None of those things, none of the issues that were raised in those conversations have been implemented. If you look at what it was very proudly saying it's a conclave. The meaning of a conclave is a private meeting. A private meeting. If it is a national intergenerational conversation, why should it be a private meeting? Now you will find, and I'm very sure Raila Odinga was very intentional calling it a conclave. It was very intentional to have it what? Private. So that they can have people like Oye in those meetings who are from their parties, and then they dish out positions, and then they come out and tell people on TV that the young people have agreed, now we have to move on. We have co-opted them into the system, and now we will ensure moving forward the voices of the young people are heard. Now, that is the idea behind this conversation. I know you didn't know conclave means a private meeting.
I know.
I know, man. Now you know. Now, because we cannot have a national conversation being called a private we must, even if we were to have, which I don't think we should, even if we were to have a conversation, then it must not be private. It must be a public conversation. Right. Now, the thing is, Ms. Kahiro, just before you come in, here's the thing. I even wonder why we have made this so big of a conversation. It's Raila who said he wants a conversation. Who is Raila? He's an individual. I had someone mention he's one of the 45 million people in Kenya. Why should we make someone's opinion look like now it is the decision by the whole nation, and now that is the thing that we should be discussing? We should be discussing how we are moving on in terms of how we are strengthening our protests and how we are making them more effective, efficient, to ensure that we reduce deaths or we actually cancel deaths. That is what we should be talking about, not someone's ideas that he came up with the other day because he has realized the positions that were dished the other time when the Gen Zs died are not enough. There are people in ODM and the other so-called opposition parties that now think they also want to be part of the system.
You will give us time.
They
give us right of reply because you cut me off.
I will.
Okay, you're serving, I think, 5 minutes. I only had 1 minute.
Brother,
so
it is my
be fair
time.
to us.
As you conclude,
be fair to
Joshua,
us.
it's okay.
She's the moderator. You are not the moderator.
Let us cool down, brothers. It is okay.
May I proceed?
As you conclude.
May I conclude?
Yes, you may.
It's attacking too much. I'll have to defend.
Now
I will give you time.
And you can hear the voice already is shaking. The people who came into the government through backdoor and riding on the blood of the young people that died last year have realized that there are other people on their backs who are saying, I also want a position, I also want a position. So what Raila is doing is he has said, by the way, last year we came to the table and said, let's have a conversation. And then they raised 10-point agenda and said, we are forming a broad-based government. Now they want to call it another name. Then they bring other people, they are loyalists, who are not going to help us into the system.
Okay.
They are only doing this for political expediency, nothing more, nothing
Thank you. You have
less.
made your point. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. You may go ahead.
Now, thank you, Ms. Cairo. My comrade dear Wakili Okayo, we must agree that we can't say and we can't wish away, I'm starting with that, we can't wish away dialogue for our country. As you put it there, we are not from Mua, yes, but we have issues that we have been raising them. We can't raise these issues and implement them on the street. We must have an avenue where we're going to talk and have these things implemented. You have attacked the party leader and the party imminently. It's like ulijitayarisha kuja kuigonga. Kitu ya kwanza we must agree, wakili. ODM as a party, the 4 or the 6 that we donated to the government then, it was out of the NADCO that we had at Boomers, as one of the comrades mentioned outside there on the street interview. It was not from the Gen Z protest. Historically, you know. Number 2, Ms. Cairo and Wakili and other comrades sitting down there. The dialogue that Elam Odinga has called, we have generations. There's a gentleman who mentioned down there that you can't go home and chase your grandfather or father that now I'm a full grown up. We can't move forward as a country that we now fence off. These are the generations of Kayo and other comrades here. We must move forward as a single entity, as a country, as a nation. One thing that we must agree as well as a country, our stable in Kenya stabilizes not only East Africa but Africa at large. This is the doorway to this region. So our stability, Raila is, let me put it this way, Raila is a patriot. He stood out when it was not fashionable to do so for our country. He came out from where he was, because I think then he was running for the AUC. When he came back, things were not okay in the country. This country had to be salvaged where it was going deep to the abyss. Another thing must agree, Okayo, that as someone comrade was putting down there, that Ruto may resign. Then hand of power to who? Today, Gachagua, Martha Karua are working together hand to hand. When Raila Ruto meets a problem, what's the problem? They are Kenyans. John Bari was given a job as a Kenyan, not as an ODMer. Joe was given a job as a Kenyan, not as an ODMer. We must agree even the appointments which were made. They were made that some of those people there who are serving in those ministries and the PSS positions, they qualify. They are given on merit. It's not out of good political will, maybe. They are given on merit, and these are Kenyans. Before become a member of ODM party, before he become a leader of RGM, he is a Kenyan. Yes.
Right. Thank you, Jared.
He has gone twice.
Kidogo.
No,
we need to take a break, and then we will come back. And I have a question for you, Jared. May we take a break right now, Director? All right, let's take a break.
People Daily, Kenya's trusted newspaper, is making history as the first daily to go fully digital. By transitioning from print to the PD News app, we are delivering the same exceptional journalism you've relied on for years in a completely new way to experience it. It's news for today and the future. No paper, no waste. Just real-time updates and customizable stories. This is a leap towards innovation, sustainability, and a better experience for you, our reader. Download the PD app now on Play Store and App Store. People Daily. News that moves with you.
Vultures are gathering, Ladama. With every bit that falls, power shifts.
I want them to feel the emptiness I feel.
All of her property and assets shall be left to Amichir Achesa.
A legacy unravels.
Mimi ndio sheria, mfalme wale Muratu.
Who will be left standing when the last beat falls? Shanga Season 2, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Stay connected to DSTV Channel 163 and GoTV Channel 3.
Woza mokalize kamwe kuja. Woza Mr. Mavela, Mr. Mandunya, Mr. Mabujeng ni kama sawa kururumia.
Nani Wonderful James aka Miss Kanyoni aka the Lioness. Kumada keda shahwaine kinyaza 11 shahwaine.
Reremboka on ones and twos. Mr. Moto kama pasi DJ Jan 254. Wamwaberilio Monday toka kurehere #Afro Monday edition.
Namwa wakere tukaigira thini wa kanitha wa Reremboka.
Naguo wagatatu ni wagwa Wednesday. Naguo muthenya wa Thursday toka pulo.
Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Tugashoka makinya mere na thutha #TBT.
#Siaugavere niyo Throwback Thursday. Keng. Naguo wagatano toka malo. Anguka nao.
Tukaindekerea wiki in style.
Veine wa Cocktail Friday.
We got the juice.
Twende down low now. Anguka now, twende down low now.
Urimi nĩguo mũnyiginyigi wa gũkũra gwa bũrũri wa Kenya, ũkĩnyita itemi rĩnene harĩ ũtonga waguo. Na korwo ũrĩmi wakinyanĩrio na kĩo hatarĩ kũrora riũa, haha nĩho ciringi ĩkomete.
Mũrori wa Kameme TV, ĩno nĩ tabarĩra ya Kayũ ka mũrĩmi harĩa tũgũthomithagia maingĩ megiĩ ũrĩmi na ũrĩithi na maũndũ matiganĩte. Ti mũgũnda waku na mahiũ maku nĩ magũkũhe gĩa kũrĩa na gĩa kũnyua na matigie kĩndũ mũhuko.
Kayũ ka mũrĩmi nĩ tabarĩra ĩrĩ kũgunaga we mwĩroreri harĩ gũkũrehera njĩra itiganĩte cia ũrĩmi wa kĩmerera na ũrĩmi wa kĩrĩu, harĩ ũrĩa ũngĩthondeka ũtonga kuma tĩri-inĩ o gĩcunjĩ gĩothe kĩa mũgũnda kĩrĩa ũngĩkorwo nakĩo.
Na twakinya gũkũ kabuti-inĩ check, kobo nĩ check. Hatirĩ ũtanganja kana gĩtũmi kĩngĩgiria gũtarĩrie maingĩ megiĩ ũrĩmi wa mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ. Twarana nani.
Nyitanagĩra na Bataru wa Mwagĩro mũthenya wa gatatũ thaa 1.
Welcome back kwenye Gen Z Manifesto. Hapa ndani kumewaka. Wacha tusikie watu nyumbani wanasema nini kwenye socials. Aya, huyu anaitwa nani? Hajasema jina, ameweka namba. Sawa. Mko open for dialogue ndio swali tunawauliza. Wacha tusikie wanasema nini. Ngisa anasema dialogue for what? Amesema useless. Aya, mwingine anasemaje? Paulo, and I'm watching from Meru. About dialogue, it will always be to the advantage of Raila and his cronies. The message is out there from Gen Z. Let's seal the deal in August 2027. Paulo nasema dialogue ni kwa ballot. Aya, we are not ready for any form of dialogue. The so-called umeenda mbio. Aya, we are not ready for any form of dialogue. The so-called broad-based government is fooling Kenyans. How many times will we be sitting down for a talk? They already know what we want. Ni mnisa wa jiji. Aya. Mwingine nasemaje? Steve Stars. Dialogue is necessary, but what we are worried about is that we take dialogue, but nothing is implemented. They should involve the comrades and those in government. Action must be there after dialogue. Mwingine nasemaje? The issue causing division in Kenya are well known by the government. What lacks is goodwill to face them squarely and solve. Aya, umesikia wenye wako home wamesema ikawatoka. Miss K, endelea na wenye wako area.
Thank you so much, Majib. It's very nice to see you here in studio. Now, before we left, na pia when we went to the break, mambo yamechemka huko studio. But I want to ask you a question, Jared, yeah? Your party leader, Raila Odinga, he's asking for a dialogue. But kuna MOU flani wali agree na Ruto. And part of that MOU ilidai protect sovereignty, rule of law, and press freedom. Juzi tulizimiwa. Why did that happen? Another thing, right to peaceful assembly and compensation. The same thing we are going for this dialogue to speak about. And full implementation of a NADCO report. Why doesn't Raila Odinga just speak all these points he had in the MOU and dialogue with Ruto? Why do we need to dialogue as a people when all the issues we are fighting about, we are talking about, are the same issues in his MOU? What's the point?
Thank you very much, Ms. Cairo. You will agree with me that our SG, the spokesperson of the party, that's the Senator Sufuna, I've remained very clear on the position of our political party, ODM. I'm not representing Serikali here. I'm not part of government. I'm part of ODM party. So the party ODM is very clear. And the SG, that's the sole spokesperson of our party, has been very categorical, always, that the government of the day has always been very reluctant on implementing the 10-point agenda that was signed at KICC. The reason is best known to the commander-in-chief of the country. Our party have been pushing that it was the MOU be implemented dot by dot. And in our democracy in that political party, we have members of that party, ODM, who have been in the forefront, who have been supporting the street actions here outside here. Me personally, you people know I've been with you on the street. Every protest, every street action, I've been presenting myself there, and even other party cadres have been coming to the street to support all this. Another thing we must agree that the party ODM gave a statement when the Kenya Kwanza government tried to shut down the media. Again, we, the ODM party, have issued the press statement on the killing, torture, and even abductions of Kenyans. In fact, at some point we were thinking, we were thinking in the Youth League, that instead of shooting their legs, at least we better have the torture rooms, where parents know that at least he's somewhere living, maybe we'll return home safe, instead of killing them. That was an open conversation.
Why is that an option, though?
Why must you kill them?
Why is that an idea in the first place?
Okay. Why must you kill us? So we're asking ourselves a question. Moi regime at least had a torture rooms. You at least upon someone knows that my kid will come back instead of receiving your kid in the morgue.
So it was a lesser evil, according to you?
Not lesser evil, but comparing that, you know that it's gone and it's gone forever. At least this one gives you hope, like maybe you will return back home. That was just a conversation, that's not something that we're not pushing to be implemented. We were just asking ourselves, what needs to be done?
Right. As you conclude, Jared.
As I conclude.
Yes.
The government of the day, before we go for the dialogue, as we're putting it, we know that we have been having a number and many, I'll say, non-practical, non-theoretical dialogues in the country. We need this dialogue if it is going to be done. Let it be a very practical dialogue that can be implemented with a period of time. Again, you know these young people here, they are jobless. If they fail to implement the dialogue, outcomes and recommendations, I'm pretty sure any day, anytime they'll return back to the street to protest.
Thank you, Jared. Okayo.
Thank you, Ms. K. I'm happy the hard stance he had taken before has reduced and now is a bit more relaxed. And the fact that he has said at least Moi had torture chambers. So I think we have established that no one should continue telling us who suffered in the chambers now, because they think this is worse than Moi. So the many years of, someone suffered for us and we should not write them off and all that. We should now focus on what we are doing. Anyway, Ms. K, we cannot dialogue to have police reforms. We have police reforms. There's this group that was formed. What is it called? The Maraga-led group that was formed. And we expect that there are certain issues that were raised to reform the police service, so they call it. We cannot dialogue to have those things implemented, because what are we going to dialogue about again? We cannot dialogue to end arbitrary arrests that we see and the killings that we see, police killing people on camera. We cannot dialogue for the government that we elected to serve for 5 years to actually remind them what they're supposed to do. Because they came in knowing what they're supposed to do. So are we going to dialogue to remind them of their work? And I heard someone say that wait for your time in 2027 so you can elect your preferred candidate. That is a very reckless statement. How do you tell voters who voted for you to wait for them to elect their preferred candidate? Is it that we elect people to wait for another 5 years, then elect another preferred and all that? We elect you to serve. So serve within that 5 years that we've been given. And if we see that you are capable of serving some more 5 years, then so be it. If not, you go home. About dialogue, you cannot dialogue to stop corruption. They already know. They already know these issues. You cannot dialogue to employ young people, and yet we do not have enough teachers in schools, we do not have enough nurses. You cannot dialogue to have them employed. You cannot dialogue, all right?
So what is the way forward now?
You cannot dialogue to know the way in which the families whose friends and whose members have been killed by police can be compensated, or how they can find closure. There is no need for you to dialogue. You know what is supposed to be done. So let the government implement their promises. Let them implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and let them listen to the people. Because the people will always reign supreme. It doesn't matter who you are. So we do not need dialogue for us to know what is to be done. Everything is already in black and white. We don't have goodwill. They're just, it's like the ostrich, burying their head in the sand and thinking that this will pass and then we will continue, to the next cycle. A dialogue is a conversation of cycle. We've had cycles of dialogues, and it always ends with some people getting into government, and then that's it. Nothing is implemented. We do not want that again. And this dialogue is not going to happen. We want things to be done.
Thank you. Thank you, Okayo. Now, Jared says a dialogue is needed. Okayo says we don't need to dialogue. Just implement what you said you will. All right, Linda, on your side, wanasemaje?
Yes, we've really been attentive with that conversation between Jared, Oye, and Okayo. But then let's speak to my panelists right here. Lena, you have the mic. Do you think dialogue is viable, and why?
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Ms. K. Before I begin, when my colleague was talking up there, I felt like the evil spirit that has been going around in our government has penetrated in this place, and we may need some kind of cleansing before we leave. Because I do not know how a young person can suggest that we begin to torture young people. That is violation of human rights, and it's actually what we are fighting. Anyway, I don't know if you've tried to slaughter a chicken or try to catch a chicken to slaughter it. There's what I call the violent way of catching it, and then there's the diplomatic way of catching it. The violent way is when you're running after it to catch it, and then the diplomatic way is you baiting it with food, and then you grab it, and that's the same thing that is happening actually right now, because the government has tried every means, the violent means, to be able to silence the young people. They have tried intimidation, they have tried propaganda, they have tried coercion and all those things, but they have not worked. So now what is actually happening is the diplomatic means is being employed to buy our silence. It's not like they are concerned about what we have to say. Because I'm wondering, what is the intended result of this dialogue? When we went to the streets last year, this was not a politically instigated protest. It was not like 2023, it was not like 2017 or 2007. These were protests that had been brought by the Gen Zs to address the issues that we have been facing for a long time. Unemployment, corruption, police brutality, and all those things. But so far, we have not seen any kind of goodwill from our president in trying to address those issues. So if you're going to the to dialogue? What is it that you're going to dialogue about? Just like my friend Joshua Kaya said, do we dialogue about police brutality? I mean, is
it a question of what to dialogue about, or the dialogue itself has not presented itself? Like the government has not presented itself for dialogue.
No, but we all know how this script is going to end. We've had dialogues before. This is an old political script. You've had dialogues before. But every time that we go into a dialogue, what happens? We are going to look for tenders for some people. We are going to look for political positions for some people. At the end of the day, the fruits of those dialogues do not trickle down to the common mwananchi. Yeah. They only go among the political elites who go there to create their own positions. We don't see anything that results from that dialogue. So for me, thanks, but no.
Thank you, Lena. You can pass it to Victor. Victor, what are your thoughts? Actually, venye tulienda break ulikuwa kumechangamka. Now, this is your time. What are your concerns, your views in regards to this conversation? Sema ikutoke.
Thank you so much. I was waiting for this mic. Ndio niseme initoke. But I'll start this conversation with a Bible verse in Isaiah 1:18 that says, "Come all, let's reason together." I think it is time for us to come and reason together. I've had this room and I've seen people talking here. I want us to relax first. You know, it is not a must. We are not forced to go and talk. Tumeambiwa tukuje tuongee. I want to invite all of us, the young people. Just relax. Keep your cool. And also, you know, I am starting to realize that there is something, kuna kitu ambayo imeingia us, the young people, what we call superiority complex, that you think you know everything. It is time for us, the young people, also to cool down and be ready to learn and be ready to talk, because this is a national awakening. In fact, a lot of people, I've had people discussing and talking. There is nobody who has monopoly of knowledge. There is nobody who has monopoly of ideas. We are just saying, you know, it's a dialogue. We are just saying, let's come and reason together. As the good book in what I've said, Isaiah 1:18 says, come, let's reason together.
So you're open for that.
As much as your sins are red as scarlet, it can be white as snow. But again, there are a lot of ills which has been done by the regime. But we can come and dialogue and see how we can move forward as a country. The point I'm making is, I am for dialogue, but then it should not look like we are forcing anybody to this dialogue. It is a conversation that we want to invite any young, sensible, young Kenyan to come and reason with us.
Thank you,
and
Victor.
Also, my sister, allow me
as you conclude, right?
As
we
I
are
conclude,
running out of time.
Even the good Bible in the book of Proverbs 12:1 calls out people who don't like reproof as stupid, for lack of a better word. So I don't want us to shout at each other, but let's reason together. My brother Oyer, when you were talking, I was so moved by how the room got charged, because my sister, Miss K, I respect you so much. And let us not make all this conversation look like it is rigged.
Thank you,
Let
Victor.
us talk as sensible Kenyans.
Thank
and
you,
have
Victor.
a
The
conversation.
conversation
I
cannot
am
be
for
rigged
dialogue,
on
and I
Gen Z
stand
manifesto.
to be corrected. I am
Thank
for
you
dialogue.
so much.
Thank you.
Let me move to Ademba. Ademba, what are your thoughts in regards to this? As we say, this room has not been rigged.
You know, I have to give credit to Raila. Raila is a very clever man. Just like Okayo said, Raila called this thing a conclave. And another term that Raila added was intergenerational. I'm bringing the point where I'm saying intergenerational. First of all, they brought tribalism, it failed. When you bring intergenerational, you're trying to make it a generational war. The Gen Zs versus the older generation, the Gen Zs versus the alphas. And right now, the alphas wameingiza kwa this fight. Just today, we've buried Bridget Wainaina. We've buried Elijah Mudoka. And we have 3 more innocent school children who are shot. We have Denif Ndungu, and we have another one who I cannot remember his name. What am I trying to say? We are not fighting a generational war. We are fighting a bad governance. We are fighting for better Kenya. So this better Kenya cuts across. Whether you're young, whether you are old, whether you are, whoever you are, we are fighting for a better Kenya. And what Oye and any other person here who is supporting the government, you know, Raila has fought for Kenya, and we are not refuting that fact. Raila has fought for Kenya for the longest time possible. And also to make it clear, we are not fighting Raila. We are fighting this country. We are fighting for better governance. So if you come here and say that we are fighting Raila, it's like you're saying that, oh, okay, vijana mwanza kudisrespect wazee. I want to, now shake your head. I'm pretty sure you're not understanding what I'm saying. I want you to get me clearly. We are fighting for a better Kenyan. So Raila kikuja, Raila is presenting his own terms, anataka ku benefit from this thing. And we've seen this over and over again. When we went to the street last year, June 25th, and those other protests, there were, the president considered to passing the finance bill 2024, right? Tulienda conclave. Also, the president alitoa the CSS. Did we go for conclave? Meaning that this government already knows what we want. It's only that they don't want to implement it. We are fighting for, actually, what niseme, your 10-point MOU, ilikuwa na end to police brutality, ilikuwa na end to media shutdown, ilikuwa na a lot of other things that none of them has been implemented. And if you have those 10-point MOU, you already know that those are some of the things that we want. Raila is the government. Atumie Ruto hizo vitu, Ruto implement hizo vitu.
Thank you, Ademba. Thank you so much. Joseph, you are an aspiring member of parliament for Molo constituency, highly charged in politics, and somebody died in Molo, actually. Yes. Do you think if there's a dialogue, there will be reduced deaths, or it's the opposite? What are your thoughts?
Thank you for this opportunity. First and foremost, my 2 cents on this issue, we don't need dialogue. When they killed that child in Molo, they didn't ask him if he wanted to be shot. So why should we have a dialogue where we ask, hey, is it time to end this? Well, there shouldn't be any place for dialogue. Raila coming and bringing this intergenerational conclave is something that has always been there. He came up with a 10-point MOU agenda, and on point number 8, it's clearly stated that the government should put an end to corruption. Number 10, they pointed out that we should lead by constitutionalism. Now, killing someone is not in accordance to the constitution. It is contrary to it. And also, Raila is part of the broad-based government. Them calling for dialogue, I would like to draw your attention to a maxim where we say, he who calls for equity must come with clean hands. The government's hands is full of blood. They have killed. They are also the ones who are abducting people. They aren't asking, they are just doing it. But when we complain and we exercise our freedom and our rights under Article 37 and Article 1, they want now we come for dialogue. How can that happen? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me move swiftly to Timothy. What then would be your recommendations, and are you up for this dialogue or not, as you give your recommendations as well?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. First and foremost, I'll start with reminding my brothers here, when you dine with the beasts, once the feast is over, be careful, because you might be the next person on the table. All these government sympathizers you see there, most of them they are benefiting. Some of them, for example, Elijah, from where he come from, he knows if he doesn't support this regime, he knows he doesn't stand a chance of getting a ticket from that place, you see. So, but then let us ask our question. What has come out from these dialogues that we've had? We had NADCO report. What came out from NADCO? Nothing. We also, we had a president who came on X, pretended to hear us, but he didn't listen to us. Then we have, in their 10-point agenda, in the MOU that they signed, let me quickly take you through. Some of them...
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, in 30 seconds.
So,
one of them was right to peaceful assembly and protest. So, as of now, the parliament wants to bring a bill in parliament to regulate our protesting. So, Baba is still there, not working on it. So, we have a national debt audit. Since when? Okay, have you ever had a national debt audit since they signed that agreement? We have none. Another one the last one is stopping wastage of public resources. As of now, they want to build a church of 1.2 billion. Do we need a church when we have school kids? His own pocket. How much does a president earn? State House is a public land. He should go and build it back in his own village. You know, so the budget that they passed, they also allocated more money on renovating the State House. So this State House has been renovated since they came into office. So what is this that is being renovated? That for the past 3 years. So this government is not taking us anywhere. So as a matter of fact, what we need to do is to plan on how we're gonna take this power as the young people. Come 2027, let us register as voters. Let us vie for those positions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tim. Okay, before I get my final thoughts, I've seen Mulamba has really been on my neck. 30 seconds or less.
You know, as someone has said, Raila is a schemer and is planning to have a referendum before 2027. And if we sit and bury our heads in the sand, he's going to have a referendum because he has had his way in the past and is willing to have his way now. And it is not because we need a referendum, especially from the political class. It's because they want to manage the current political atmosphere, that we stop discussing abductions, accountability, and better governance and start discussing a referendum.
It's a diversionary measure.
It's a diversionary tactic.
Thank you, Elijah. 10 seconds.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So first is to be very clear that I'm not here to support government, but I'm here to say the truth. The truth is that without dialogue, we wouldn't have this country. In 2007,
don't go there.
we had to have a dialogue so that we save this country.
Thank
I want to urge all of us.
Thank you so much. Well, and that's how we end this particular session with my panelists. We've had varied reactions from them, and that's all that we had. Tumeongea, imetutoka, time ijatosha manze. But well, back to you, Ms. K.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. I think we can wrap up the show now, yes? Now, as we close the show tonight, here are my 2 cents. We seem to be witnessing a love story turned thriller, exposing a very toxic relationship where one partner insists on keeping the union even when the other partner wishes to leave on reasonable grounds. They have been cheated on, they have been abused physically, emotionally, and verbally. And when they react to this torture, the abusive partner wants to dictate how much they should cry and when they should stop crying, meanwhile, still inflicting pain. And when things get out of hand for the abuser, in an attempt to save face, they send their new bestie to convince the abused that a sit-down therapy session could fix everything, that they can put down on paper all their grievances clearly so that the abuser can read and decide how better to treat the lawful partner. These therapy sessions have worked perfectly for the bestie in the past when he was the alleged victim of abuse. However, this abused partner in our story is adamant. She asks the tough questions, she doesn't settle, she wants change now. And if that's not an option, she's very much okay leaving. You see, suitors are already knocking the door. Others are duplicates of the current partner. Others have a good track record. They're calm, almost too calm. Not the sort of aura she's used to, but maybe that is the change needed, a change of pattern. They say always choose the gentle one, not one who riles up your nervous system. I send all the grace to the victim as she makes her decisions from now on. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. That's it from us today. My name is Ms. Kahiro, and this has been the Gen Z Manifesto. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Good night.
Kameme TV, muthegi wa rũrĩrĩ.
Na kisha moja kwa moja mtazamaji, basi nakupeleka hapa basi hadi kwa upande wa Japana. Kati huo magaidi wakaanza kuchokoza jamaa fulani alikuwa gaidi Zunyuizi na familia yake. Wewe, kwa nini mnakaa kwa meza yetu? Kwa nini mnakuja kukaa kwa meza yetu? Sasa jamaa wetu Taikawon kuona hivyo akaumwa. Mwanzo hapa mtazamaji ni kwa restaurant, sio kwa nyanya yako. Hii ni restaurant. Mtu analetwa hapa na pesa zake. Haya! Kaona akiwa na umama, akamuita Kamama. Hey. Kamama, pigwa shock. God of Thunder. Akachomoka biguni, akakuingilia. Moyo venye na ambavyo jamaa anakaushwa na Hanzo Hasashi is proud. Ako na machungu baya mbovu. Mtu nataka kuja kuuza uoga. Nakuja kuuzia nani uoga? Mimi ni mtu anawakilisha taifa mzima. Alafu mtu anataka kuja kuuzia mimi uoga.